I feel like because of that concussion that happened on 9/11 of 2018, it's wrecked relationships. It's had a real big damper on everything in my life. Like my whole life has changed. I had to give up my career. I had to give up what I loved more than anything, so that was a huge shift and a lot to deal with at the beginning. It took a few years to release that identity.
Hurricane Heather Jo Clark.
My name is Heather Jo Clark, and I am a retired MMA fighter. I have a total of 17 professional fights, 15 MMA, 2 boxing. I am now living and learning as a coach, running a gym and bringing up the next generation. I took the discipline that I learned having to be a professional fighter. I also played professional hockey, but over the years of learning what it takes to check off every box, right? Training box. And I took that same discipline into trying to heal myself from this concussion. And, it's like really hard for me not to get emotional about it because I've literally feel like I've tried everything. And obviously we're here fundraising to get more help. So there is some more options, but it's been really hard. It's been life-changing. It's affected my relationships. It's affected my, took me out of my career, like all of the things that it's done to my life. There's a silver lining. I'm learning a ton about it, and I can then share that with the next generation. But I really have marked off all those boxes to try to find my healing. When I was a little girl, my dad got me into like every sport, any sport that I wanted to try, he was all for it. And then kind of growing up in high school, I got picked on and I always just stood up for myself. I always took it to a point where it was like, okay, let's go. Like, if you want to do this, let's do this. My dad would like literally have me practice like certain moves at home. Then I would do it and I would get suspended, and then he would take me shopping. He was proud of me that I stood up for myself. He knew that I wasn't doing it to like bully anybody or to hurt anybody. I was sticking up for myself, and he wanted to celebrate that. So that's kind of how it started. So I started in karate when I was about 8, did that for a couple years. Around that time, my dad was an ER doctor, but he was also doctoring kickboxing fights. So we would go to some of these kickboxing fights, and there were men and women, and I just thought it was really cool. I was never like freaked out by it or seeing the black eyes or the cuts or whatever. And I would look at like Kathy Long, one of the women fighters at that time, and just think she was just the coolest, like a Wonder Woman. I started playing hockey in 9th grade, and we lived in North Dakota, and so they had a women's team starting at my school for the first time. And I got in a lot of fights on the ice, and then moved back to LA and started playing with boys. So they didn't have girls teams in LA. They had some travel teams, and I did play with some of those, but mostly like every week I played with boys. And that's when I learned what a concussion was. Once you get to 15, it goes 15 to 18. So when I turned 15, I'm playing with boys that are 18 years old, and there's no weight classes, right? And it's full contact. So I was probably like 115 pounds. There were many times that I hit my head or, just got my feet wiped out from under me and hit my head on the ice or whatever it is. But I never let anybody have the power to know that they hurt me, because I always got back up and managed to get to the bench if I needed to. And the coaches back then knew nothing really about concussions. It was just like, be tough, right? You gotta be tough. Like, you're the only girl, you gotta be tough. It was not even a question, right? It was not even like, hey, are you okay? Like, how are you feeling? Let me look at your eyes. Like, there was no check. There was no, most of the time, not that I can remember. And then even in fighting, it was the same way. I never got dropped by anybody. It wasn't like, hey, you just got hit. 10 times pretty hard. Like, are you okay? Maybe we should sit out this next round. It was never that. But again, you know, I think it was just this misunderstanding of these major concussions versus minor concussions. I mean, and also I never had any long-term symptoms from anything, from any of my concussions until I did. So September 11th, 2018 was the last day that I trained. And I got lit up by this guy. It was supposed to be technical sparring, and he just, I don't know, wanted to impress me or something, because he just took it all out on me, and I haven't been the same since. It was training for a fight. I was a co-main event for an Invicta fight, and it's the first fight I've ever had to pull out of. And I didn't pull out of it right away. It took a couple months for me to even believe that I wasn't going to get better. You know, went and saw people, and they all seemed to think that I was going to get better. And here we are, you know, 4+ years, and I'm the same. I don't feel like I've gotten any better. I don't feel like I have gotten better at all. Yeah, it's really shitty. Chronic migraines and sleep problems, and you know, those are my biggest things. But word finding, moods, irritability, you know, all that, just stuff that I've been dealing with since my last concussion. I've been really delving into learning about it. And now, you know, 5 years after being with my partner, things are coming to an end. And I think a lot of it is because of my inability to heal. You know, he doesn't want to be with somebody that's sick. It's the universe just, I think, teaching me this lesson so that I can therefore teach it to others. I'm that next generation of coaches, which is gonna, you know, stand up for the athletes and treat them in a way, and teach them in a way that they know that you can't just get this, you know, constant punishment. You can't spar 3-4 times a week, hard sparring. You can't grow up training the way that I trained, you know, like I got in there with professionals, and the way that I learned to block was because I got fucking hit in the head 10 times before I learned to block. I learned how to be tough real quick. that was something I learned how to be. But, you know, in terms of smart, I didn't know that wasn't smart. I didn't know that I needed to pay more attention to that. Just knowing that, like, you don't go out there and learn how to defend yourself by getting hit in the head 50 times. You learn how to defend yourself training by slowly blocking and doing it in a way to where you're not actually going to get hit, but you're still learning. And it's got to be a smarter way of training. And that's the new way, is the smarter way. It's my mission now to really, to get better, to heal, and to spread the word.